Okay, good day, students. Welcome to today's podcast. As we look into tips of studying and preparing for the exams. So today we're going to be talking about study skills. I'll first ask the students who are here to give me an idea of the type of study skills that they know, maybe that they apply. If there's any study skill that you know and that you apply, you can volunteer by raising your hand and let me know of any study skills that you know and maybe that you apply. So we're going to talk about only 4 for today. We're going to talk about the types of study skills, but we'll only look at just 4 of them. There are many other study skills that we can talk about, but because of time, we'll only talk about 4 that are common, that are widely used, that have been tested and proven. So the first one that we are going to look at is the SQ3R. The SQ3R, the S stands for surveying. Surveying, basically, it means when you start studying, you look into every source of information that is there. You gather all the materials, everything that is there that is relevant to the topic or the subject that you are studying. You gather everything and you put it all in one place. Everything, it can be papers, textbooks, notebooks, short notes, flashcards, everything that you have. So that's surveying. And then from surveying, as it says, SQ3R, you formulate your own questions. The second Q is questions, which means you're going to formulate your own questions. You go into a topic and you come up with all the possible questions. You look at the title, the topics, the examples, the types, characteristics, and you ask yourself all those as questions. So you set yourself questions from all those headings and subtopics and everything that is under there. You just set yourself questions, you ask yourself questions. And then after doing that exercise, that's SQ, then you go into the 3 R's. The first R is read. When you read with questions in mind. And when you read with questions in mind, you are reading to find out answers to the questions. So you are reading to find out answers to the questions. And then the second R is recite. When you recite, you go through what you have learned. You remember what you have learned. You recall what you have studied. Then lastly, the last one is recite. I would normally say when you recite, you just close your book and then you try to recall from your memory without going through, like unlike review, where you go through your book, you go through your short notes, you go through your past papers, you go through all the materials that you are using to study to remind yourself. But with recite, you just recall from your memory without referring to the book, without opening any book, and try to see how much can you remember from what you studied. So that's completes the SQ3R, which is surveying, questions, reading, reviewing, and reciting. So we'll go into the next method that you can use to study, or the next study skill, which is summary notes. How many of you here keep summary notes? When you study, you summarize your notes. Okay, thank you. I see. Summary notes are one of the most effective ways of studying because like I told you in the last session, is that there is a link between writing and the mind. So you can read as much as you want, but you're going to remember little as compared to when you read and you write. Summary notes is one way. As you read, you take those examples, you take those things that are not so easy to grasp, you note them down. All those points, the key points, the main points, the examples, the characteristics, you put them in short ways. Sometimes you can even abbreviate them in a way that only you can understand what they mean. That way, it sticks more to your mind as compared to when you just read and you close the book. But when you read and you write, it sticks more, you understand it better compared to someone who just reads and closes off the book. That's summary notes. And then we look into mind maps. So mind maps basically here is like a diagram that you are going to represent what you have learned using a mind map. And what you can do, you can write the name of the topic or the topic in the middle, and then you start branching it out. Okay, if you are talking about matter, for example, in science you can be talking about matter, and then you are going to have one line coming out from matter, that is states of matter, and then properties of matter. You'll have different arrows coming from the center of that topic, and then you fill up those gaps. That you have characteristics, you have examples, you have types, you have definition, you have everything, and all of that can just fit in one page. You don't have to have it so many. If your topic is maybe 10 pages long or 5 pages long, you can just summarize it into one page, and all the important and key points are all captured in that page using arrows and lines to show them. And then lastly, the last method that we'll look into is the flashcards. Flashcards is something like this. You just have something like this. You can use a sticky note, or you can just go into the stationery shop and ask to buy for a flashcard. It's just a piece of paper that is cut into a small size, something that can fit into your pocket, preferably. So if you have something like this, you can just you can just take your notes and write them in a flashcard. So a card like this, just take your notes, you write them in this. And when you are traveling, you can be coming from home, coming to school in a combi, in a taxi, or you are dropped by parents, however you come. So during that journey, you'll just be going through all the short notes that you have put down in your flashcard, and it doesn't take as long as if you are reading a textbook, as long as if you are reading a notebook, and it is not attention. It doesn't capture everyone's attention. Imagine you are in a combi or you're in a taxi and there are other passengers there, and you want to open your notebook at the back seat, or you want to open a textbook at the back seat. It saves you from looking to be like you are dramatic, or getting everyone's attention in the combi. You just be looking at your cards and you are revising. And some journeys of a combi can be 1 hour. Some of you travel 2 hours. Some of you travel 30 minutes. That 30 minutes, you can make use of it. I remember when I was writing my Form 3 exam, I did that every day. I would be going through every day when I was traveling from Tlokwen to Block 9. I was schooling at a Block 9 at Khale Hill. So it was a very long journey from Tlokwen to Khale Hill, which I had to take 2 combis to get there. So I would go through the flashcards and read them and study. And that 1 hour of traveling from Tlokwen to Gaborone in the morning and in the evening, 2 hours of study that I was using. So when I get home, I just do homeworks because I had studied on the way. And then let's look at effective ways of studying. There are different ways that we study. Not all of us would study the same way. Some of us study best when we are studying on our own. Some of us will study best when we are in groups and we are learning from other students. Some of us will study best when we do past papers. We do many past papers, or you read over and over again. So we have different ways of learning and understanding. So I'm just going to take you through some of the ways, and you'll identify which one works for you best, and try to stick to what works best for you. Don't try to do a method that does. If study group doesn't work for you, don't force it. If studying alone is not working for you, you easily get distracted. You don't focus. You are busy. You spend most time on your phone than studying. Then try a study group. Because there, when you are with other people, you are going to be forced to focus. Number 1, let's talk about individual study. As I said, some of you study best when you close yourself, maybe in a study room or in a bedroom or in a classroom that is empty, and you start studying. That is when you start understanding most concepts, when everything is quiet and the environment is quiet. Some of you can even go to the extent of waking up very early in the morning, around 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and you study. And that is when you really understand, when the whole environment is quiet, there's no movement, there's no noise around. So if you are that kind of student or that kind of a learner, do that more. Find times when it's quiet. Find places that are isolated. Not necessarily isolated, because some places that are isolated are dangerous. So let's say not necessarily isolated, but quiet places, quiet times. Like at your house, maybe in the evening, it might be noisy because people are watching TV, But if you wait until everybody sleeps, or you sleep when they are watching TV, and you wake up early in the morning and you start studying, that will be a strategy. And then another way that you can study is studying with a study group, having a study group. You can have a study group. If you fail to study on your own, if you find it difficult to study your own, have a study group. Have maybe 2-3 people that you study with, and it should be people that are good in some subjects. Like if you have someone who is good in maths, you have someone who is good in science, the other one is good in Setswana, the other one is good in English, and you come together and you study together so that you can share knowledge. If you are revising maths, there's someone who is good in maths. If you are revising science, there's someone who is good in science. And avoid to have a large number in a study group. Let it not go beyond the number 4. If at all, the members of a study group shouldn't be a big number, because if you become a big number, possibilities of you not studying and chatting, or having 2 people there chatting while the other are trying to study, they're very high. So it's important to try to be as small as possible. Even if you are 2, 3, 4, let it be the maximum, so that it becomes effective, it becomes efficient. It doesn't become a source of time wasting, because sometimes you can form a study group with good intentions and end up becoming a source of time wasting. Someone uses it to get away with not studying. The other way that we study efficiently is reading repeatedly. We read every time. We read repeatedly. There are some subjects that you read and then you don't understand immediately. You have to read again and read again and read again. That's how some of us learn. You learn by reading the subject, the topic over and over and over again until you grasp it, you understand it. So that is, I call it repetition in learning. You repeat learning. You go through that over and over again. And then the other way, if it's subjects that have to do with calculations, like mathematics, it's a lot of everything is calculations in maths. Almost 99.9% of the questions is calculations. If you get into maths, that means you have to do calculations every day. I always advise that if you want to beat maths, this is the secret. You can just do one topic a day. Just find one topic in that subject in mathematics and do it every day. Do the example, look at the examples, do the exercises. If you are using a revision books, some revision books will have answers at the back. So you can always check for yourself after looking at the examples and doing the questions, and check if the answers are correct at the back. So that is how you do maths. You make sure that you do something on mathematics every day. One topic every day is enough to get you to the exam. By the time you get to the exam, you would have revised the whole syllabus if you do one topic a day every day. You can use past exam papers. Someone mentioned the past papers. It's a very effective strategy for studying. If you use past papers, the past papers are going to force you to go to every topic, because it will test the first topic or the 7th topic or the 9th topic or the 23rd topic. It will keep on taking you to different topics in the syllabus. And as it takes you to different topics in the syllabus, if you don't know the answer, you have to go to your books and reference and check out the answer and come and construct it in your paper or in your exam paper that you'll be using to practice. So past papers become more effective because they test that and that and that. And in many cases, they also help you to understand how exams are going to come out. And they also prepares you to know the kind of questions that come every year, because there are some questions that continuously repeat. If you can pick the past 10 years, you look for the past 10 years of exam papers and you start going through them, doing them, and making sure that you answer each and every question, you'll realize that some of the questions are repeating. Some of the questions, they just come out exactly the same way every year, or maybe twice every year. They skip a year, or they skip 2 years, or they skip 3 years. There's no formula, but the idea is that some of the questions are repeating. So as you do past papers, you are going to know those questions and you know the answers. And when they come out this year in the exam, you are at an advantage of answering them correctly. Another one, let me just give you this one as a bonus. One way that you can effectively study is to use YouTube videos. If you have access to internet, you can actually type any topic, like mostly in science, in maths. the topics are all there. Like if you say algebra, and then you say algebra, or you say factorization, mathematics, and there's going to be a video that you'll find on YouTube that is going to have a teacher teach you how to go through algebra, or how to go through factorization, or how to go through simultaneous equations. There's almost every topic in every main subject, like mathematics, sciences, English. So you just search on YouTube for a particular topic, and then for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, you watch, and then you'll understand more effectively, because it's going to be colorful. They're going to be using pictures, examples, or cartoons, which sticks more. You understand it more than when you are reading on your own. So that's another way that you can use to learn this topic, especially topics that are giving you a hard time. Just list them and you start working on them like that. Okay, moving on. There are wrong places that you shouldn't use to study, or the wrong positions that you shouldn't be studying on. One of them is trying to study while you are lying on bed, or in a bed, like you are lying on a bed and you have your notebook open there and you are studying. The reason why I don't advise you to do that is because most of the time, especially now that it's winter, it's cold, it's possible that as you feel the warmth of the blanket, you are going to fall into sleep. And that is the rest of the story with you studying. And if you do that every day, you try to study, you doze off, you sleep. The following day, you say, oh no, I'll read tomorrow. You doze off, I'll read tomorrow. How many times are you going to postpone? Exam day will come, and every day you are postponing to study. And the day of the exam is approaching. And then another place that is not suitable for studying, or that is not the best place for studying, is in front of a TV. Sometimes you'll say, okay, let me watch this soap. Let me watch this series because I like it. While I have my notebook open, I'm going to be reading and then watching, reading and watching. But it's not true. 90% of your attention is going to be on the television side. 90% of your attention is going to be you're going to be following what is happening on TV, and you're going to have your book open there, and you just read the first sentence, and that is the only sentence that you're going to have read by the end of that soapy or that series. When it finishes, that's when you'd have just read one sentence or one paragraph in that whole book. The television is going to grasp more of your attention more than the book. The book is not interesting. We all know that. The book is not colorful. The book doesn't have pictures. It's just a notebook. It's just your notebook, with your handwriting. But there you have your television set with interesting characters. Something hot is happening there. Someone just slapped someone and everybody says, ha, in the house. And your attention is just going to go to the TV, not to the book. So don't deceive yourself. You can't study in front of TV if you want to focus. And then the other time that is not suitable for studying is during your study time in school. Study time in school, because of the factors that some students are distractive. There are those students who always want to be funny. They want to pass jokes. They want to get attention. So sometimes when you try to study at school, study time, it doesn't work. So I'd advise you that since you have that 1 hour every day, make use of it. Maybe you could be writing your notes, or if you have homework that you were given during the day, you could use that to write it. And then if I have pushed my homework during study time, when I get home, I can do other things. I can study, I can revise, I can be doing past papers. I can, you create free time that you could be using at home to do your homework. So try to find something productive to do that doesn't engage your 100% attention, like writing notes. If you are behind with your notes, you can use the study time to write notes. If your summary notes are behind, you can use that time to catch up with your summary notes. And then lastly, what if you don't have the discipline to study? What if you don't have the discipline to study? Because it's not easy to study. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of discipline to study, and it takes determination, really. You have to be really determined that you want to study, you want to pass, you want to achieve your goals. One of the things that you should do is to reduce your time in social media. social media is one of the things that takes away much of your time. Social media and television. So you can make a deal maybe with your parents to say, okay, can you take away my phone just for 2 hours? You switch it off. If you don't want them to see your message popping or people calling you, finding out why you are offline, you can just switch it off or put it in flight mode and you give it to your parents. Say, don't give me back this phone until I finish studying. If you start studying at 8 p.m., you say, don't give me this phone until 10 p.m. when I finish studying. So you are asking them to help you to be disciplined because you can't do it on your own. So they will carry your phone for those 2 hours. You put it on flight mode or you switch it off. Then during that period, they can't give it to you. You made a deal with them, you can't give it to me. So you study for those 2 hours and then you come back and have your phone. And those 2 hours are going to be very productive because there will be no distraction. And the phone, is the biggest distraction that you normally have with you. And then the other thing is sleep. We sleep too much. We oversleep. Actually, we oversleep and we say, I'm tired, let me sleep. And then sometimes you when you nap, nap is supposed to be very short, like 30 minutes. That's a nap. And then some of you'll nap for 3 hours. That's not a nap, it's a sleep. You nap for 6 hours. That's a sleep, it's not a nap. So a nap is supposed to be just for your body to recover, and then maybe you can go and shower or take a bath, and then you're fine. Not that you should be sleeping the whole evening, and then when you wake up, you want food. After eating, go back to sleep. You wake up in the morning, you go to school. No time for studying. So you should create time for studying. Average, just try to sleep at least 7 hours a day at most. Maximum 7 hours a day. If you are a very hardworking person and you want to study more, you can sleep 5 hours. It is practical to sleep 5 hours, but recommended is 7 hours, that your body becomes fully rested. Sleep 7 hours. Then the rest of the time when you are free, you study. The rest of the time that you don't have anything to do, you don't have chores, you don't have any other thing to do, study, revise, prepare for the exam. You don't have a choice. That's what you need to do. That is your main goal for this year, is to pass the exam. So in order to pass the exam is to revise for it. There's no other formula. There's no other secret. Okay, thank you. That was it for today. As we are talking about study skills and effective ways to study. Cut.